6.5 at Savatthi. Now on that occasion, the following evil speculative view had arisen in a certain Brahma. There is no ascetic or Brahmana who can come here. That having known with his own mind the reflection in that Brahma's mind, just as quickly as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm or draw in his extended arm, the Blessed One disappeared from Jeta's grove and reappeared in that Brahma world. The Blessed One sat cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, having entered into meditation on the fire element. One moment here. So you see, this Brahma, he had this wrong view that no human being, no ascetic or holy man can come to this heaven of his, which is so far away from earth. He thought impossible for any humans, even if they have psychic power, to come to my heaven. Then the Buddha happened to read his mind at that moment and flew to him immediately and sat cross-legged above this Brahma, meditating on the fire element. When he meditates on the fire element, the body becomes like fire, emitting fire. Then it occurred to the Venerable Mahamoggallana, where now is the Blessed One dwelling at present? With the divine eye which is purified and surpasses the human, the Venerable Mahamoggallana saw the Blessed One sitting cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, having entered into meditation on the fire element. Having seen this, just as quickly as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm or draw in his extended arm, the Venerable Mahamoggallana disappeared from Jeta's grove and reappeared in that Brahma world. Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana stationed himself in the eastern quarter and sat cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, though lower than the Blessed One, having entered into meditation on the fire element. Then it occurred to the Venerable Mahakassapa, where now is the Blessed One dwelling at present? And with the divine eye, similarly, the Venerable Mahakassapa saw the Blessed One sitting cross-legged in the air above that Brahma. Having seen this, the Venerable Mahakassapa disappeared from Jeta's grove and reappeared in that Brahma world. Then the Venerable Mahakassapa stationed himself in the southern quarter and sat cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, but lower than the Blessed One, having entered into meditation on the fire element. Then it occurred to the Venerable Mahakapina, where now is the Blessed One dwelling at present? And with the divine eye, the Venerable Mahakapina saw the Blessed One sitting cross-legged in the air above that Brahma. Having seen this, the Venerable Mahakapina disappeared from this Jeta's grove and reappeared in that Brahma world. Then the Venerable Mahakapina stationed himself in the western quarter and sat cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, though lower than the Blessed One, having entered into meditation on the fire element. Then it occurred to the Venerable Anuruddha, where now is the Blessed One dwelling at present? With the divine eye, the Venerable Anuruddha saw the Blessed One sitting cross-legged in the air above that Brahma. Having seen this, the Venerable Anuruddha disappeared from Jeta's grove and reappeared in the Brahma world. Then the Venerable Anuruddha stationed himself in the northern quarter and sat cross-legged in the air above that Brahma, though lower than the Blessed One, having entered into meditation on the fire element. Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana addressed that Brahma in verse. Today, friend, do you still hold that view, the view that you formerly held? Do you see the radiance surpassing that in the Brahma world? And this Brahma said, I no longer hold that view, dear sir, the view that I formerly held. Indeed, I see the radiance surpassing that in the Brahma world. Today, how could I maintain I am permanent and eternal? Then having stirred up a sense of urgency in that Brahma, just as quickly as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm or drawing in his extended arm, the Blessed One disappeared from that Brahma world and reappeared in Jeta's grove. Stop here for a moment. So here you see, the Buddha has many disciples who have great psychic power, probably almost equal to the Buddha's psychic power. That's why immediately they sense that the Buddha went to this heaven and to show the support for the Buddha, they also appeared in that heaven, sitting cross-legged like the Buddha, but lower and all emitting light. So here you see the Buddha's disciples, they are great masters of meditation. They can meditate on many objects. So fire is one of them. Unlike nowadays, people see the Buddhas, meditation is vipassana. The Buddha's meditation is never vipassana. The Buddha's meditation is all this, you see. Meditation of the fire element, and all his disciples are skilled in that. So, you must remember the Buddhas it was in India, and in India the background, all the Hindus, they practice these kasina meditations. So at that time the Buddha was also considered one of the many teachers, one of the many Hindu teachers, because the word Hindu comes from the word Indus Valley, that or the India itself. So the Buddha's disciples would have known all the common meditation subjects during that time, including all the kasinas. So when the Buddha and his disciples appeared in that world, that Brahma was shocked because he thought no human being can come here. And he also noticed that the light the Buddha and his disciples emitted were much, much more brighter than the Brahma Devas. So then immediately he changed his view. He understood that whatever the Buddha said must be true, because the Buddha's psychic power is much, much more than the Brahmas. So he said, now how can I say that I am permanent and eternal? Actually, they know, these Devas, they know exactly what the Buddha is teaching. Because of their psychic power, they don't even have to come to earth. They can contemplate, and they know the Buddha is teaching the Dhamma, saying that all beings are impermanent, that all beings, even their life is so long, will die one day. But they refuse to believe. They refuse to believe. So now when the Buddha came and he saw the Buddha was not just a preacher, just talk, but no action. Now he saw the Buddha was superior to him in every way. Then only he believed that one day he has to die. Then the sutta continues. Then that Brahma addressed one member of his assembly thus: "Come now, dear sir, approach the Venerable Mahamoggallana and say to him, Sir Moggallana, are there any other disciples of the Blessed One that are as powerful and mighty as Masters Moggallana, Kassapa, Kapina, and Anuruddha?" "Yes, dear sir," that member of the Brahma assemblies replied. Then he approached the Venerable Mahamoggallana and asked him, "Sir Moggallana, are there any other disciples of the Blessed One that are as powerful and mighty as Masters Moggallana, Kassapa, Kapina, and Anuruddha?" Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana addressed that member of Brahma's assembly in verse: "Many are the disciples of the Buddha who are arahants with asavas destroyed, triple knowledge bearers with spiritual powers or psychic powers, skilled in the cause of others' minds," that means can read others' minds. Then that member of Brahma's assembly, having delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Mahamoggallana's statement, approached that Brahma and told him, "Dear sir, Venerable Mahamoggallana speaks thus: Many are the disciples of the Buddha who are arahants with asavas destroyed, triple knowledge bearers with psychic powers, skilled in the minds of others, skilled in the others' minds, in the cause of others' minds." This is what that member of Brahma's assembly said. Elated that Brahma delighted in his statement. So that's the end of the sutta. So here you see, Mahamoggallana told him, there are many of the Buddha's disciples with such great psychic power. In some other suttas, it is mentioned, it's not just 100 or 200 and 300, it's a few thousand during the Buddha's time. Now we come to the next sutta, 6.9, at Savatthi. Now on that occasion, the monk Kokalika was sick, afflicted, gravely ill. Stop here for a moment. This monk Kokalika was a supporter of this monk Devadatta. Devadatta was a disciple of the Buddha who broke away from the Buddha and formed his own Sangha. So there were a few monks who supported him. This Kokalika was one of his main supporters. So this Kokalika was sick. Then when the night had advanced, here you see the independent Brahma Tudu. Actually the word is Pachika, the Pachika Brahma Tudu. Pachika, maybe a better translation is solitary Brahma, because most of the time they live alone. The heaven is so high, not many are reborn in that heaven. So because also because they are unisex, they don't need a partner, they live alone. and they find happiness within themselves. Their minds is full of bliss. So they are called Pacheka Brahmas, solitary Brahmas, but here they translate as independent. Independent Brahma Tudu of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire Jeta's grove, approached the monk Kokalika. Having approached, he stood in the air and said to the monk Kokalika, "Place confidence in Sariputta and Moggallana, Kokalika. Sariputta and Moggallana are well behaved." Stop here for a moment. Why does he come and tell this monk Kokalika to have trust, to have confidence in Sariputta and Moggallana? Because this Kokalika was a follower of Devadatta, and when Devadatta broke away from the Buddha, then this Sariputta and Moggallana went around telling people this Devadatta is no more a disciple of the Buddha. Whatever he says has nothing to do with the Buddha. He does not belong to the Buddha's Sangha and all that. So in effect, they were talking bad about this Sariputta and Moggallana was talking bad about Devadatta and his camp. So this Devadatta and his followers had a lot of hatred towards Sariputta and Moggallana. So this Kokalika was one of those who had a lot of hatred and talked bad about Sariputta and Moggallana. So this Brahma came to warn him. Why did the Brahma bother to come and warn him? Maybe they were friends before. Former friendship, come to warn him. And Kokalika asked him, "Who are you, friend?" And he said, "I am the Pacheka Brahma Tudu." And then Kokalika said, "Didn't the Blessed One declare you to be a non-returner, Anagamin? Then why have you come back here? See how far you have transgressed." So here stop for a moment. So here this Kokalika is saying, the Buddha said you are a non-returner, that you won't come back to the human world. Why you come back now to the human world? He's saying, he's trying to tell him, you say I'm at fault criticizing Sariputta and Moggallana. You have more fault than me. You are supposed to be in that heaven and you come back to the human world. Something like that. Then the Brahma Tudu said, when a person has taken birth, an axe is born inside his mouth, with which the fool cuts himself, uttering defamatory speech. He who praises one deserving blame, or blames one deserving praise, casts with his mouth an unlucky throw, by which he finds no happiness. Trifling is the unlucky throw that brings the loss of wealth at dice, the loss of all, oneself included. Worse by far this unlucky throw of harboring hatred against the fortunate ones. For 100,000 Nira Buddhas and 36 more and 5 Abuddhas, the maligner of noble ones goes to hell, having set evil speech and mind against them. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Brahma told him, every one of us is born with an axe in our mouth. If we simply wag our tongue, say the wrong things, we will cut ourselves. And here also warning him that if he has hatred against Arahants like Sariputta and Moggallana, he will go to hell for an extremely long time. Here it talks about Nira Buddha and Abuddha and all that. So this why I mentioned this sutta is because of this verse. When a person has taken birth, an axe is born inside his mouth, with which the fool cuts himself, uttering defamatory speech. That means defames others, talk bad about others. Because sometimes a person doesn't realize when you talk bad about somebody, the word goes around and spreads. One person goes to 10, 10 goes to 100, 100 goes to 1,000. Very soon somebody may have a bad reputation because of your action. The next sutta, 6.10, at Savatthi. Then the monk Kokalika approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, Venerable Sir, Sariputta and Moggallana have evil wishes. They have come under the control of evil wishes. When this was said, the Blessed One said to the monk Kokalika, Do not speak thus, Kokalika. Do not speak thus, Kokalika. Place confidence in Sariputta and Moggallana, Kokalika. Sariputta and Moggallana are well behaved. The second time, the monk Kokalika said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, although the Blessed One has my faith and trust, all the same, I say that Sariputta and Moggallana have evil wishes. They have come under the control of evil wishes. And the second time, the Blessed One said to the monk Kokalika, do not speak thus, Kokalika, etc. Sariputta and Moggallana are well behaved. Third time, the monk Kokalika said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, although the Blessed One has my faith and trust, all the same, I say that Sariputta and Moggallana have evil wishes. They have come under the control of evil wishes. And the third time, the Blessed One said to the monk Kokalika, do not speak thus, Kokalika. Do not speak thus, Kokalika. Place confidence in Sariputta and Moggallana, Kokalika. Sariputta and Moggallana are well behaved. Then the monk Kokalika rose from his seat, paid homage to the Blessed One and departed, keeping him on his right. Not long after the monk Kokalika had left, his entire body became covered with boils, the size of mustard seeds. These then grew to the size of mung seeds, then to the size of chickpeas, then to the size of jujube stones, then to the size of jujube fruits, then to the size of myrobalans, then to the size of unripe baluva fruits, then to the size of ripe baluva fruits. When they had grown to the size of ripe baluva fruits, they burst open, exuding pus and blood. Then on account of that illness, the monk Kokalika died. And because he had harbored animosity towards Sariputta and Moggallana, after his death, he was reborn in the Paduma hell. Then when the night had advanced, Brahma Sahampati, of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire Jeta's grove, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, stood to one side, and said to him, Venerable Sir, the monk Kokalika has died, and because he harbored animosity towards Sariputta and Moggallana, after his death he has been reborn in the Paduma hell. This is what Brahma Sahampati said. Having said this, he paid homage to the Blessed One, and keeping him on his right, he disappeared right there. Then when the night had passed, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, Monks, last night, when the night had advanced, Brahma Sahampati approached me and said to me, Venerable Sir, the monk Kokalika has died, and because he harbored animosity towards Sariputta and Moggallana, after his death he has been reborn in the Paduma hell. Having said this, he paid homage to me, and keeping me on his right, he disappeared right there. When this was said, a certain monk said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, how long is the lifespan in the Paduma hell? And the Buddha said, the lifespan in the Paduma hell is long, monk. It is not easy to count it and say it is so many years, or so many hundreds of years, or so many thousands of years, or so many hundreds of thousands of years. And the monk said, then is it possible to give a simile, Venerable Sir? And the Buddha said, it is possible, monk. Suppose, monk, there was a Kosalan cartload of 20 measures of sesamum seed. At the end of every 100 years, a man would remove one seed from there. That Kosalan cartload of 20 measures of sesamum seed might by this effort be depleted and eliminated more than a single Abuddha hell would go by. 20 Abuddha hells are the equivalent of one Nira Buddha hell. 20 Nira Buddha hells are the equivalent of one Ababa hell. 20 Ababa hells are the equivalent of one Atata hell. 20 Atata hells are the equivalent of one Ahaha hell. 20 Ahaha hells are the equivalent of one Kumuda hell. 20 Kumuda hells are the equivalent of one Sogandika hell. 20 Sogandika hells are the equivalent of one Upala hell. 20 Upala hells are the equivalent of one Pundarika hell. And 20 Pundarika hells are the equivalent of one Paduma hell. Now monk, the monk Kokalika has been reborn in the Paduma hell because he harbored animosity towards Sariputta and Moggallana. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, said this. When a person has taken birth, an axe is born inside his mouth, with which the fool cuts himself, uttering defamatory speech. He who praises one deserving blame, or blames one deserving praise, casts with his mouth an unlucky throw by which he finds no happiness. Trifling is the unlucky throw that brings the loss of wealth at dice, the loss of all, including oneself. Worse by far the unlucky throw of harboring hatred towards the fortunate ones. For 100,000 Nira Buddhas and 36 more, and 5 Abuddhas, the maligner of noble ones goes to hell, having set the evil speech and mind against them. Yeah. That's the end of the sutta. So here you see, because of hatred towards Sariputta and Moggallana, this monk Kokalika has gone to this deep hell where he will be there for so long time, which reminds us that nowadays, if you look into some of the Mahayana sutras, they also try to put down the Arahant Sariputta. And so you can imagine people who harbor hatred like that against Sariputta, they will also have to reap their karma vipaka. So I stop here. Anything to discuss? Yeah. No. Which chapter was this? Which sutta? What page? Number 9 page. Brahma Tudu. I don't know why. 403. Something wrong here because non-returner is anagamin, and anagamin is either born in the 4th jhana heavens, the Sudavasa, or is reborn in the formless realm, arupa realms. So, but if he's like once returner, then he can be reborn in the Brahma heavens. Can explain why there's a discrepancy here. That's why. Dwelling alone is very much advised by the Buddha for his monks, because it is very helpful to going into our mind. When we want to attain liberation, we want to get out of this world of the 6 senses. And to get out of the world of 6 senses, we have to go into deep meditation. So, if we dwell with others, it's difficult because sometimes people want to talk to us even though we don't want to talk to others. And if we dwell with others, there are so many things going on that can distract us. So, sometimes if a monk is serious about practicing, then even though he dwells with others, for example in a monastery, then he spends a lot of his time alone, either in the kuti without seeing others, or he goes to a quiet place to practice his meditation. Later on, in the suttas, there's mentioned, I think, Ananda's preceptor, Nigroda Kappa, I think, he is one of the monks. He will go on alms round meditation. On alms round. After he gets his food, he comes back. He eats his food. After eating his food, he will go straight to his kuti and lock himself in the kuti the whole day. He only come out in the evening when there's a dharma discussion, or the next morning when he goes on alms round again. So this person, so even though he dwells with others, he's practically dwelling alone because he doesn't want to associate with others. He practices aloofness. This is kaya viveka. Kaya viveka, dwelling alone, is helpful for us to attain chitta viveka. Chitta viveka is mental seclusion. Mental seclusion, that means secluding ourselves from the six senses, the world of the six senses, and going back into our mind. Because that is the direction we have to go if we want liberation. If we want liberation, we have to go away from the world of the six senses. And that can only be achieved by going into our mind. So this dwelling alone is much advised by the Buddha for the monks who are serious, who want to attain liberation. I have practiced dwelling alone for many years, and I find it's very suitable for meditation when there's nobody to talk to you and you have no duties and nothing to do except to meditate and to read the suttas. And because you don't have a lot of what you call fanno, a lot of things to disturb our mind, then your meditation can come together very much easier, and when you dwell with people. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. She? No. How would she be able to see the Brahma? Is it? No. When the Deva wants you to see, then you can see. But on the other hand, if you have psychic power like the Arahants, even though the Deva don't want you to see, you can see them. But in this case, they want you to see, that's why they appear. That's why like sometimes ghosts want to disturb you. They will appear, make you see. And they make you see what they want you to see, like frightening shapes and all that. So like in one of the suttas, the Majjhima Nikaya, this Mara came to disturb Mahamoggallana. He just finished his meal and he was doing walking meditation, and Mara went into his stomach. Then he felt his stomach very heavy. Then he sat down in meditation, and very quickly he saw Mara. They asked Mara, "Get out, why you disturb me?" And Mara came out of his stomach and then stood at the door with his hand leaning against the door and tried to use his psychic power to make himself invisible. But because Mahamoggallana's psychic power was greater, then Mahamoggallana could see him. Then told him, "You are standing at the door and you think I can't see you, but I can see you." So it depends on whose psychic power is stronger. The other thing. It is true as we grow older, our body becomes weaker. But then we have to use our wisdom how to combat it. One thing, as we grow older, we don't physically exercise so much. So because we don't physically exercise so much, we can conserve some of our energy, and also because of that, we don't need to sleep so much. Somebody who's young, who's very active, they need to sleep 8-9 hours a day. You see, many old people, they find about 2 or 3 hours of sleep is enough. But then if we are not used to it, we still feel quite tired. So the one way is to sleep less and put our mind on practice sati more, put our mind on our meditation object as often as we can. Sometimes, for example, if we are tired, we lay down but try not to sleep. Because I think there is scientific evidence that if we sleep about 2.5 hours every day, it is enough for the mind. But the body is something else. The body. So if we don't exhaust ourselves as we grow older, we find we have to lie down more. More often we have to lie down. You see, even in the suttas and the Vinaya books, the Buddha sometimes talk with his disciples, and he says, I have to lie down. My back is giving me pain. Then he asked one disciple to talk to the monks, to the Sangha, and then he will lie down. But he lie down, he knows exactly what they are talking. He doesn't fall asleep. So that's the way. It's true we have to lie down more, but then we try to maintain this awareness. That's why this Jagarya no Yoga is striving to keep wakeful. In fact, in the Vinaya books, we find that the Buddha expected his monks not to fall asleep. Only ask them to lie down. For example, at night, they should lie down 4 hours. When we lie down, actually, the body gets rested. So if we can maintain our meditation object, then the mind is not so scattered. So you can maintain your concentration. That's very helpful. Because when our mind is very concentrated, we don't need to sleep so much. Just as an example, there was a time when my meditation was quite good. When I go to sleep, 1 hour automatically I get up. And after 1 hour, you feel quite refreshed. You don't feel. Whereas if your mind is not concentrated, you find you need to sleep a lot. So it's important to maintain our concentration as much as we can. But if we are meditating, we should not allow ourselves to nod. We must always maintain a very straight posture. But if you find yourself nodding, it could be that you are exhausted, physically exhausted. Then one way is to put your head down. Put our head down, because when there is a chakra point here, when we put our head down, we get some rest. So if you do that and you still find you are very tired, and it's best to go and lie down even for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, I think we have enough tonight.